Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to talk about applying to business schools in the US, but we are going to focus on applying beyond the top 20 globally ranked schools. Okay, this is super interesting. Yes, we all will have to have some safety schools even if we are applying to the top schools. So let us look at into a few factors which will help us understand, hey, what is the right way to do it? Okay, so these are the 5 things that we are going to talk today. Number 1, why do we even need to look at schools beyond top 20? Number 2, what is STEM? Number 3, the class size. Number 4, what is the scholarship that is available? Okay. And number 5, finally, the most important one, the profile fit aspect with respect to any school. Okay. Just want to make sure that, hey, you guys understand the MBA school application process is all about minimizing your risk. Right? The schools are taking a calculated risk with respect to, hey, whether we can actually place this particular candidate in the industry versus not. Similarly, you are taking a risk with respect to, hey, what are the chances of me getting a job? Okay. If this particular equation doesn't go well, then you don't have to apply to that school. And this particular equation is even more important if you are applying for schools which are ranked beyond top 20. Okay, so let us jump right away into the first factor, that is, hey, why is this actually important to start off with? Let me pull up the Excel sheet and show you why and how these numbers are stacking up against you. This particular Excel sheet will give you a very high level overview of how many students actually apply to US business schools. Okay, if we start from the bottom of this sheet, okay, the number of GMAT test takers in India. Well, this number is around 25,000. There are some data sources against it. I can place them in the description box, and that's a pretty straightforward number. And how many folks are actually sending their scores to US schools, their GMAT scores to US schools? Roughly 40 to 50%. Again, it's a given number. Now, this 40% indicate that, hey, at least 10,000 applicants are looking forward to study in a US business school, right? Now, if we look at the average class size of a top MBA program, I would probably have to take this number to be around 500 or 400, but being liberal, I took that number to be 700, the average class size. Percentage of Indians going into each MBA program, roughly around 10%, and the number of top business schools, 20. So we are getting to a conclusion that there are 1,400 students who are going to top business school programs in the US every year from India. And the number of applicants is 10,000. So the odds are always stacked against you. So you need to be prepared with the fact that, hey, there's a good chance that you might end up beyond the top 20 as well. Or through this calculation, it indicates that only 14% of the candidates who are applying to US business schools are actually going into the top 20 schools. Now, what does this mean for you? You have to be prepared in a very practical way with respect to which schools you are going to choose further along the way. Okay. Now moving on to the second factor, that is STEM certified versus a non-STEM certified MBA program. This is super important. Can't stress enough about it, because the STEM certified MBA programs will allow you to actually spend 3 years in the US after your graduation, even if you don't have a MBA degree. Okay. Confusing? Let me take a step back and repeat it. STEM certified MBA programs will allow you to actually stay in the US for 3 years after your graduation, even without a H-1B visa. Now, against a non-STEM MBA, which is only valid for 1 year after your graduation, that 2 years buffer will give you so much peace of mind. I can't stress about it enough. Okay. So if you are going beyond the top 20 schools, make sure that you are applying for a STEM MBA over a non-STEM MBA. A lot of top business schools are already STEM certified, but the same cannot be said about the schools beyond the top 20. Okay, so that's a very practical thing to consider. Now, moving on into the third factor, which is the class size, right? The numbers that I have showed initially, the average class size of 700. Yes, Harvard has an intake of above 800, Wharton has above 700, Columbia around 600, so on and so forth. But if you go beyond the top 20 list, it shows to you that, hey, the average class size keeps on falling. Some cases it is actually around 100. For schools like Foster School of Business or Mendoza School of Business, for these schools, the average class size is between 100 to 125. right? So you need to make sure that the class sizes is probably as small as it could get. The reason why I'm saying that is because the career placement teams, right, they can give you that individual attention. Yeah, don't go for a 50-member school or like a 30-member class size. It becomes more difficult then, but a sweet spot is between 100 to 200. Don't go beyond that or don't go below that, right? This is again a very practical information. You can find it anywhere on the business school website. So please keep this as your second consideration. One is STEMs, two is your class size. Now moving on to the fourth factor, which is your scholarship amount. Okay, we need to make sure that our risk is getting minimized when we are applying to these schools. So having a good scholarship amount will substantially reduce that risk. Imagine these three conditions, right? There are people to support you because it's a small class size. The STEM certification will help you stay for 3 years even without you getting a job. And on top of that, if you don't have the loan burden, right? This is like an ideal combination. So make sure at least a few of these parameters are checked when you are applying to a business school. A good scholarship is probably beyond like 50%, 60% or even full ride. And schools do give this kind of scholarship if you are applying beyond the top 20 schools. Now moving on to the final part, which is the profile itself, right? How do you evaluate your profile against the school's profile? Let me give you two examples and illustrate to you in a very practical way. Number one, we'll take Foster School of Business, and number two, we take Cox School of Business. Okay. So Foster is based out of Seattle, right? And Seattle is a hub for technology companies like Microsoft, Amazon, T-Mobile, and a bunch of others, right? Now, what it tells you is that, the class size is low, and if you are a software engineer and looking forward to move into the general management role or a business development role within technology companies, you can start your networking right from day one. So don't ignore that opportunity. Also, the class size being small, the placement team will be able to help you individually as well. Okay. How do you know these things? Well, of course, you should know what a particular geography is known for, right, from an industry standpoint. And also, you go into the placement reports and see what percentage of students are actually going into the industries that you are targeting. If you are targeting technology industry and 60% of the class is going into technology industry, that's a brilliant match. Okay. If you are targeting oil and gas industry and only 2% of the class is going into oil and gas industry, you should not go into that school. Simple. The other factor for you to consider is also what percentage of folks with your background are entering into that school. Well, if you have a software engineering background, what percentage of the class has software engineering background, right? Or technology background. If you take the other example that I was talking about, Cox School of Business, it is based in Texas. So of course, no state tax, the cost of living is low, and a bunch of other things that go along with it. On top of that, Texas is very well known for its oil and gas industry, right? If you are an oil and gas professional and if you are looking at one of the schools probably beyond top 20, McCombs, right? Cox, these are some of the schools that you should not miss. And by the way, all this information is available from the placement reports itself. I'm not talking about, you need to go and talk to 100 people, right? Well, that's another step. But first, if you have this baseline information from the website, probably you can have a more intelligent conversation with the students or alums from that particular school, right? So take these things into consideration. This is not something which is difficult for you. You can get all this information on the school's websites. So start with your own research, and this should act as a self-serving guide for you. Okay, let me repeat that. This should be your first step and a self-serving guide before you go and start talking to different experts or start talking to your friends, family members regarding your school selection process. Again, I'm repeating, guys, this is not the be all and end all of that selection process, but this will give you a good starting point. Okay, so let us summarize quickly what we have talked through. The first thing, it is super important for you to keep an eye out on the schools which are beyond top 20 because the numbers are already against you. Number two, look into whether it's a STEM certified program or a non-STEM certified program. Number three, understand the class size dynamics. If you are looking for some personalized support, it is possible in a lower class sized school. Number four, see what is the ROI scenario. Can you get a scholarship versus not. You can go and talk to students, current students, to learn more about this particular aspect. And number 5, finally look at what is the profile fit for you against that particular school. All you need to do is understand the target industry, understand which industry you are coming from, and also what is that particular geography well known for. So these things should help you get started. Hopefully this is helpful, guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow. If you like this video and if you believe this self-serving guide will help folks, please do share it and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye.